Alright, what's up YouTube? I'm back. Today is, here I say it, Tuesday. So, we're almost finished with my NFL series. This is episode 10, but I am going to make an episode 11, better known as a bonus episode. You know, to give a proper send-off. You know, this would be episode 10, but yes, there is an episode 11. You'll be shocked what I do with episode 11, as well as being shocked with what I do with episode 10. So it's going to be the quarterback of the St. Louis, now Los Angeles Rams football team, Jared Goff, versus Drew Brees when he's with them New Orleans Saints. Now, you probably might scratch your head, you might spit out your Pepsi, your Mountain Dew, your Coca-Cola, you might spit out your tea, your water, your Coke 45. You might spit out your Kool-Aid and go, didn't we see this matchup this past NFL season prior to the playoffs? And the answer is yes. But the reason why I made this episode 10 is for me to explain what I think happened and what should have happened, but it didn't happen because it caused some controversial. Now, before you LA Rams come into the comment section and start player hating, this football team made it to the playoffs and they made it to the Super Bowl, and then they lost the Super Bowl to the New England Patriots. Now, let me say first and foremost, this football team had no business in the Super Bowl in the first place, because when you get to the Super Bowl with that type of momentum, you could have beaten the New England Patriots. Had that been Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints, they might have been able to actually beat the Patriots because he had the experience in competing in Super Bowls. And this team didn't even have no experience to a Super Bowl, and they lost. And that goes to show you, when you're inexperienced and you lose in a Super Bowl, is a nice way of saying you shouldn't have even gone to the big dance to begin with. But since they did, you see the end result. I expected an actual challenge, and it was like the Patriots was taking candy from a baby. It's like, I love the Super Bowl. I'm glad Tom Brady won another championship, but I wanted it to be competitive to the point where, okay, he won the championship, but you could see why he won it, because he earned it. In other words, it was like, I'm taking the trophy, give it to me, it's mine. It's like, in other words, where was that motivation? Where was that drive for the whole entire season that wasn't in the Super Bowl? So for me, the Super Bowl was good, but like the critics say, it's bittersweet. I expected a challenge, you know, at least let the game go into overtime. Now, Jeff Gall was the #1 pick in the 2006 NFL Draft. Yes, I have a script. And he was the quarterback for St. Louis Rams, now Los Angeles Rams. Now, he was a backup quarterback. It seems like every time you get these great quarterbacks, the story always plays out. They're always a backup quarterback. Similar fashion, somebody got hurt, and he do what all quarterbacks do. He takes over the presence of a football game. He's very big, very strong, very fast, very competitive. All of a sudden, he wins 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games in a row. And then about 3 seasons later, he eventually becomes the quarterback. Throws the football pretty good. And every now and then, you'll see him run and make 2 or 3 touchdowns. He's not afraid of the physical contact. He's not afraid of running the football. He's not afraid of changing up his style of play. So he's a unique football player. He's a conventional quarterback. Now, the fact that he led this team to the Super Bowl was incredible. Now, there were locker room talks that he kind of might have been injured. No one wasn't really sure. And he didn't even let that stop him in the Super Bowl, which I give him a lot of respect and a lot of credit for. But the fact that he disappeared, I want to say somewhere mid-second quarter, early third quarter. He made a comeback in the fourth. But to disappear again at the middle of the fourth quarter goes to show you he wasn't used to being put under this type of Super Bowl pressure. You know, he did very good against Drew Brees and the Saints when the game went into overtime and they won by a touchdown. But that level of play disappeared in the Super Bowl. It was like, I don't know if the guy was overwhelmed by the responsibility and the pressure, but you could tell in the 2016-2000 NFL season, his rookie numbers were great. I mean, he was unstoppable. He improved the offense. The defense looked better. By 2018, 2019, they had the best record 2 years in a row. And then they made it to the Super Bowl. But we didn't get that superstar presence that we got when he beat the Saints. We got a guy that just showed up to the Super Bowl, played, and then disappear, make a comeback, and disappear again. So I don't know if it's due to injury, he was overwhelmed by the pressure, too much responsibility. We really don't know. But what we do know was he did take the Rams to a place they haven't been before. Now, I do believe he can improve on his ability to get better on the football, but I do believe it's going to be another 5 years before we really get to see the maturity growth in him to the point where he's a force to be reckoned with. Now, as for my man Drew Brees, he got put in the 2004 NFL draft. Now, he did get picked, not 2004, my bad, wrong number, wrong player. 2001 NFL draft, he got selected at number 32. Now, he had a chance to play with other football teams, but he wanted to improve himself in the Columbine, and then he ended up being taken by the San Diego Chargers, now better known as the Los Angeles Chargers, and then after 2 or 3 years of playing with the football team, surprise, surprise, he was a backup quarterback to Philip Reed, as someone else was a backup quarterback to him, which is kind of hilarious, because no sooner than he was going to be the actual quarterback of the Chargers, but Philip Reed proved that even at his age he could still play. So Drew Brees saw that he wasn't going to be the star or the quarterback, so he went and signed with the New Orleans Saints, and again he was a backup quarterback, and then from out of nowhere he became the breakout superstar. You know, he could make 5 to 6 touchdowns. He could throw the football. His presence, that he was being a cross between a Tom Brady and a Brett Favre, with some comparisons to Joe Montana and Troy Aikman. There were some comparisons to these 4 football quarterback legends. And I say legends because, you know, now they consider him a legend. Now they consider Tom Brady a legend. You know, he put up those similarity numbers, you know, and even though they lost, and when he went against the Patriots, he showed that he could take on somebody like a Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. He showed that he could do that. And then you get to the 2007-2008 season, they failed to make playoffs. 2008, they make it to the playoffs. He wins his first playoff game with the Saints, wins his second playoff game, but loses on his way to a Super Bowl. And then a year later, it's 2009, he goes to a Super Bowl. And who did he go up against? Who did he go face to face against? Peyton Manning and those Indianapolis Colts. And he beats them in great, devastating fashion. I mean, the way he threw the football with pure accuracy, the way he dominated that football game, the way he made a comeback when we all thought it was all over. You know, I had picked the Colts to win the Super Bowl, and Drew Brees and the Saints, they made a comeback the second half of the football game. All of a sudden the score gets tied. All of a sudden they pass up the score. All of a sudden you can see the Colts defense fall apart. You can see the offense frustrated. And what do we see? Them celebrating winning their first Super Bowl championship. I was shocked. I was stunned that less than 3 or 4 years of signing with the Saints, again, he done what only a few conventional quarterbacks could ever do. That's win a Super Bowl in such a short period. Now in 2010, they had a breakout season, but they got overwhelmed and failed to make playoffs. 2011, 2012, back-to-back years, they made the playoffs, but he was plagued by injury. Then we get to 2014, 2015 season. They traded some players, had some money disputes. They would make playoffs 2 years in a row, but get eliminated 2 years in a row. And then finally by 2016-2017 season, they made a resurgence. They would win their football games, but then, you know, there were too much competition. And by 2018-2019, he got it back together. And at his age, in his late 30s, he proved that he could still do the same thing like Tom Brady. You know, he would win the most games in the season. At one moment, they had an undefeated record before it was broken. And then he won their first playoff game, second playoff game. And all they had to do was go against these Rams in a controversial game that went into overtime. And all he had to do was beat these Rams, and he would have been going to a Super Bowl against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Unfortunately, the score was 23-26, lost by a touchdown or two, and it was controversial because some people thought that the football really wasn't a touchdown. And what do we see? We see that the Rams win, and we see that the Saints lose. Which brings me to my point. What would have happened had this Drew Brees been in his prime and not the Drew Brees towards the end of his prime? I think what would have probably happened had Jared Goff got into the NFL a lot earlier, we probably would have seen something similar to this effect. But for argument's sake, I'm going to say the football game would have turned out much the same. I think if we would have got him when he won the Super Bowl, and he didn't get injured throughout the years, I think we would have seen Drew Brees put a whooping on the Rams like he did, but they lost. So it would be the complete reverse. It would be the Rams would lose and the Saints would win. So who's a better football player? I'm arguably going to say it's actually Drew Brees because he's won a Super Bowl. He won MVP. He's been in the NFL for a long time, and he had the experience. He's played all the football teams, all the quarterbacks, and he's done it in great fashion. But it makes no excuse because by the end of the day, the other football team won. But my strong belief is I believe Drew Brees is better than Jeff Goff based on experience. So if we take away the championships and the MVPs and we take away the best record and we base it off of athletic football ability, of course, we're going to say Jeff Goff with the Rams. But if we're talking about experience, it's Drew Brees. Until then, peace.